So this is where the market was when I started trading today. And when I was looking at this trend working down, I instantly thought there's some sort of trend line. So, as usual, I had to draw this trend line from the highs like this, put it somewhere down to make it fit. So at this point, I was just only looking for shorts. When the market is trending down like this, it's very bearish. Market is very weak, and I wasn't particularly looking for longs, even though I see I see this resistance here. This is the key level that I always tell you that you have to find. You can clearly see that previous day this was a strong resistance and prices couldn't move very quickly above this. But in today's session, prices went through this very easily. So that's why I didn't really pay that much attention to it. I was just really thinking this is a trend and this is how you should treat this. When prices ignore this resistance, this should be support. We got slight little bounce here, but prices went easily through this. So I still play this as a big downtrend. At this point, market looked very oversold, and every time you get to the other trend channel line, the market will usually go to the other side. Basically, the trend lines work as a support and resistance, and they are just slanted. So I wasn't really looking to short here. There is no setup. This is just the first entry, and then we bounce a little bit here again. So you have to draw your shorter term trend lines. As you can clearly see, all the traders who've been short here, they are taking profits. This little correction, this is basically traders taking profits. All the bears are taking profits. And as you can clearly see, this is why price action is so amazing. Not only we bounced off the trend line, we drew this trend line from the first two swings, and this confirmed it. Also, the key market structure, the previous resistance, came into play today again. This is why you always have to find this. You always have to find this key market structure. This is why we're long. We got a trend line, we broke, we move higher, we instantly turn down. I was kind of a little bit early in this. I think I should have waited for the lower high, but nevertheless I think this was a good setup. Sometimes you can miss the trade very easily. So this is a perfect bounce of the trend line. We got a break and a new low, and the resistance is still in the play. And then you got lower high, you got longs that are more trapped, and all the people that are going long here, they're trapped now. They don't understand that they're going long into this trend line. They don't trade price action. This is why you have to learn to read the charts, because as an experienced chart reader, you will get an edge over these retail traders that don't know what they're doing. So this was another good trade, but I think you can take this. This was a good trade too. It's a move to a new high. It's a bounce over the trend line, and trend is still down. Bears are really strong. Sellers are winning over buyers. So it was a good trade. At this point, market kind of reconciliated. I don't see any setups here. There is also another strong support forming. So when we made this triple bounce right here, I wasn't really thinking short. 1, 2, 3 bounces, then you pull back and you got another bounce. Yeah, at this point, you really have to pay attention to the strong market support. The buyers are now coming to play. Sellers, they're taking their profits. Once we shot through EMA and pulled back like this, it was very tempting to go long here, because when I was trading, I drew this trend line. It was very tempting to go long here. You probably could have. I'm gonna mark the trade. If you're an experienced price action trader, this was a good trade. But at this point, we are waiting for a new low of this big trend line. So I didn't want to, get anxious and get trapped, because we still need a new low, which came to play much later on. But you need to wait, and you need to let these shorter term corrections play it out. Just as here, you need to let play out this little correction, and you need to play out this channel. You just cannot go short without letting play out this correction. And we had the new low. I'm sorry, we had a correction, and we had a new high. 2 legs to the new high. Looks like those legs were measured. You can see. First leg, second leg, measured move. Remember, market always moves in twos. Here we once again tested this resistance that is held very strong. You know, every time professional traders see the resistance holding like this, they will come again play. At least the odds are in our favor. This is like at least 80% or 90% probability that the traders that went short here and here and here, they will go short here again. But this you can make a case for going short here, but I always like to wait for a lower low, excuse me. Yeah, lower high. And this, once we take it higher above this bar and we trap all the bulls that are trying to go long into this resistance, this is a good place to go short. Good place to go short. And once again, they corrected and they got your runner. You know, the ES is so efficient. I very rarely get a good runner. This was a good move, but they come back and just did the tick, even though, you know, I'm entering with limit order at the close or one tick back. A lot of times they will come back for your runner. So this was a big move. You can see how all the bulls were trapped. You know, all the people that are going long here, they're going long way too early. They need to wait for correction and a new low, this trend line. You just cannot go long, even though this support looks very strong and looks like it's holding. We still don't have, this is a price action rule of the trend line, you still don't have new low of the trend line. So all the smart traders, they're waiting, you know, they're waiting for bulls to get trapped. And all the smart traders, then they went short here. I don't think you can go short here, even though you can treat this as a first entry, second entry. Yeah, I mean, looking back at this, you can probably go short here. You know, once I enter right at the highs, I don't feel like going, you know, short once again within like the 2 minutes. You know, I feel like I'm too anxious. But you can go short here. You definitely don't want to go short here. It's very low of the day, and this is big steep move to the new low. And once again, so as you can see, we clearly make a break and a new low of this big downtrend. So now you really should quit thinking going short, and now you should be focusing on going long. You know, the trend to the downtrend is played out already, and you now need to be thinking reversal. You need to now be thinking going long. This is not a big downtrend. This is not one of the days where the market is 45 degrees and just going low and low and low. You know, every single correction is failing and market is selling off big time. This is not one of these days. You know, this is just looking kind of a little bit rangy. Still got trend. So we need to draw this trend line from the first two lows. And sometimes, you know, the trend line might not even come into play. You know, this is trial and error. You draw these trend lines and you see if you can get a bounce. And if you don't, then you just delete it. You know, this is happening a lot of times. You know, sometimes I draw these trend lines and they may not even come into play. But with experience, you can learn to find the right ones. So you make a first entry short, and you pull back, you make a second entry short, but you don't want to go long at the very high of the move. Terrible at this trend line. You don't want to go long. This is a big bar. You're risking so many points. You're risking probably 6 points. Now you're just chopping. You know, there's no way to go long at the very highs into this resistance. And once again, you got people taking profits right here. You get a first entry, and you get a second entry right here. But this is a horrible bearish signal bar. Then you got this better bullish looking bar, which I think you can go long here, but I was still thinking the prices might come back to this trend line, so I wasn't really feeling this trade. Looking back at this was a pretty good trade. And then once again, the EMA is now holding first entry, second entry short. This was a pretty good trap. but I didn't get filled here because I always put my limit order at the closer one tick back, and here you can see a little gap. This you would have only got filled if you stop here. Other than that, you would have missed it. So that's it for today. Looking back, I will mark this trade. I will mark this one. This is according to rules. This is first entry, second entry, short that failed. We got a break of this trend line, new low. So now you're thinking long. If you're very advanced, this is probably a good trade. I was really thinking we might get another leg to this trend line, but we got a bounce right here. And now, as you can see, we are making a wedge pattern. You can see the trend line, you can see the resistance, and prices are wedging in between these two. Generally, when this is happening, I really don't know how to trade this. Even though I've been trading for a very, very long time, anything can happen here. I really don't know whether you should go long here and the prices will pull back, or the prices will trap people and then will go short and then you go long. This is I don't like trading wedges at all. I just really like to sit at the sidelines and wait how the market will unfold. So yeah, but the key thing that you have to realize is that even though we are day traders and we trade only the current day, the price action from previous day, the key level, is always good to find. And as you can see, this resistance is clearly to see. Any beginner can see this, and it came into play today nicely for this trade and for this trade. So you always have to identify these key levels. You really always should find your trend lines. If you're just patient and you wait for these bounces to these trend lines and to the key entry point, this is a key entry point, bounce of the trend line and resistance. And these are two patterns, which gives more credence to the trade. It's probably going to work better. You got the resistance bounce, and you got the trend line bounce. Here you just got resistance, but this was a good trade too. So anyway, guys, hopefully this was insightful to you, and I wish you good trading. Bye.